The salt spray from the Pacific crashed against the weathered deck like 1,000 tiny accusations. But Rowan couldn't hear it over the venom in his sister's voice. You think you're better than us because you're, different? This house was Mom's dream. Not some fairy tale getaway for your little boyfriend fantasies. Lila's words sliced deeper than the jagged rocks below. Her perfectly manicured nails digging into the railing as if she could claw the property deed right out of his soul. In that frozen moment, as the sun dipped blood red into the ocean, Rowan realized the vacation home, the one inheritance he'd clung to like a lifeline, was about to become the battlefield for the family war he'd always known was coming. Rowan Harper had always been the black sheep of the Harper clan, the one who traded Wall Street suits for surfboards and spreadsheets for sunsets. At 32, he lived a life that felt authentic in ways his family could never grasp. A cozy apartment in San Diego's North Park neighborhood, a graphic design gig that let him freelance from anywhere, and a boyfriend, Alex, whose laugh could melt the fog off the coast. But the call from the family lawyer 2 weeks ago had shattered that fragile peace. Rowan, your grandmother's will is clear. The Big Sur cabin goes to you. Sole beneficiary. It was meant to be a gift. A sanctuary pieced together from Eleanor's savings after Grandpa passed, timber beams hauled from Oregon, a wraparound porch overlooking the cliffs, and wildflower gardens that bloomed like forgotten promises. To Rowan, it was more than wood and waves. It was the place where he'd spent summers escaping his parents' endless arguments, where Eleanor had whispered, "Be true to your heart, my boy. The rest will follow." He'd driven up the Pacific Coast Highway that morning, windows down, the roar of the ocean drowning out the knot of anxiety in his gut. Alex had wanted to come, but work deadlines kept him in the city. "Call me when you get there," he'd said, his voice warm over the phone, fingers brushing Rowan's knuckles in that absent, loving way. "And hey, if your sisters show up with pitchforks, just remind them you're the one with the killer playlist for dramatic exits." Rowan had laughed then, but now, standing on the creaky porch as Lila paced like a caged panther, he wished Alex were here to ground him. Lila wasn't alone. Tessa, the baby sister at 28, lounged against the doorframe, arms crossed over her designer blouse, her blonde highlights catching the fading light like a halo she didn't deserve. The three of them, Rowan the middle child, Lila the eldest at 35, Tessa the spoiled youngest, hadn't gathered like this since the funeral 6 months back. Eleanor had gone quietly in her sleep, leaving behind a modest estate that the sisters had already divvied up in hushed, greedy whispers, jewelry to Lila, the antique clock to Tessa, and the cabin. That was the wild card. "You can't seriously believe this is fair," Lila spat, waving a crumpled printout of the will like a white flag of surrender turned weapon. Her eyes, the same stormy gray as their mother's. Mom hated this place by the end. Too isolated. Remember how she begged us to sell it after Dad's affair? But no. You played the golden grandchild card, convincing Gran to hold on. Rowan's fists clenched at his sides, the wood grain biting into his palms. That was 10 years ago, Lila. And it wasn't a card, it was love. Gran built this for family, not for flipping on Zillow. He stepped closer, the deck groaning under his weight, his voice steady despite the tremor in his chest. Betrayal wasn't new. Growing up gay in a conservative Orange County household had taught him that early. Dad's golf buddies whispering slurs at barbecues, Mom's passive-aggressive sighs over his face, But this was theft wrapped in blood ties. Tessa pushed off the door, her heels clicking like Judgment Day. Oh, come on. We're family. Families share. You don't even use it half the year, jetting off to those pride parades or whatever with your friend. The word dripped with disdain, and Rowan's stomach twisted. Alex wasn't a friend. He was the man who'd held him through coming-out nightmares, who'd traced tattoos of rainbows on his ribs during lazy Sundays. But to Tessa, Alex was just another reason Rowan didn't fit the mold. I drove 8 hours for this conversation? Rowan forced a bitter laugh, turning to face the sea. The waves churned below, indifferent to the human drama unfolding above. The will is ironclad. Lawyer confirmed it yesterday. If you want to contest, be my guest, court fees on you. Lila's laugh was sharp, a shard of glass. Contest? Honey, we're not going to court. We're going smarter. She exchanged a glance with Tessa, and in that split second, Rowan saw it, the alliance forged in secret texts and wine-fueled plots. We found something. Gran's old letters to Mom, undated, but damning. She was losing it toward the end. Dementia whispers. Said the cabin should go to her girls if anything happened to her favorite boy. Tessa nodded eagerly, pulling out her phone to flash a grainy scan. The handwriting was Eleanor's, looping and elegant. But the words blurred in Rowan's vision. If Rowan's path takes him too far from roots, let the girls keep the shore. His breath caught, a wave of nausea rising. Forgery? Coercion? It didn't matter, the seed of doubt was planted. That's bullshit, he whispered. But his voice cracked, betraying the boy who'd always sought approval in a family that doled it out like crumbs. As night fell, the sisters retreated to the guest room they'd claimed without asking, their laughter echoing like hyenas. Rowan retreated to the master suite, Eleanor's old space, collapsing onto the quilt that still smelled of lavender and salt. He dialed Alex, the phone trembling in his hand. Babe, it's worse than I thought. They might take it all. Alex's voice cut through the static, steady as the lighthouse beams sweeping the horizon. Then we fight. Together. I'm booking the first flight out tomorrow. Love you. Rowan. Hold the fort. Rowan hung up, staring at the ceiling beams carved with Eleanor's initials. Revenge flickered in his mind, not petty, but brilliant, a reckoning that would expose their greed without stooping to it. But first, the ocean sang its lullaby, but dreams brought only storms. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving, fog rolling in like uninvited guests. Rowan brewed coffee in the clawfoot kitchen, the percolator hissing like suppressed rage. He'd barely slept, visions of the sisters' smug faces morphing into childhood memories, Lila braiding his hair before school, Tessa stealing his comic books but returning them with apologies baked into lopsided cookies. Were they always this entitled? Or had success, Lila's real estate empire in Newport, Tessa's influencer gig peddling essential oils, twisted them into strangers? He stepped onto the porch, mug steaming, when the crunch of tires on gravel announced Alex's arrival. Earlier than promised, his beat-up Jeep Wrangler kicking up dust like a cowboy's entrance. Alex unfolded from the driver's seat, all 6 feet 2 inches of him in faded Levi's and a flannel that hugged his broad shoulders, his dark curls windswept and eyes scanning for Rowan like a beacon. Told you I'd come, he said. pulling Rowan into a hug that smelled of pine and possibility. Their lips met briefly, salt-tinged and urgent, before Alex pulled back. Status report? Hostile takeover in progress. Rowan jerked his thumb toward the house. They're inside, plotting world domination over mimosas. Alex grinned, that crooked smile that always disarmed Rowan. Good. Gives us time for recon. A former paralegal before pivoting to craft brewing, Alex had a knack for digging up dirt, ethically. Mostly. As they walked arm in arm toward the door, Rowan's resolve hardened. This wasn't just about property, it was about legacy and the family that had never fully embraced him. Inside, the air was thick with perfume and pretense. Lila looked up from her laptop, brows arching at Alex. Oh. The +1 arrives. Tessa snapped a quick Insta story, captioning it family drama at the cabin vibes blessed. Alex Rivera, he extended a hand, grip firm. Rowan's better half. Heard a lot about you too. Real estate sharkened. What was it? Tessa? Oil baroness? The jab landed light. But Lila's smile tightened. Charming. So, we were just discussing logistics. She slid the letters across the oak table, the scan glowing on her screen. Rowan, be reasonable. Sell to us. We'll give you a fair cut, 20%. More than enough for your lifestyle. Rowan's jaw set. Lifestyle? You mean living without a mortgage or your judgment? He met her gaze, unflinching. No. This stays mine. Tessa leaned in, voice syrupy. But Ro, think of Mom. She always said the cabin was for the girls' future weddings. 'Cause you don't need that. The room spun. 'Cause weddings. The life they assumed for themselves, never for him. Alex's hand found Rowan's under the table, a silent anchor. Actually, Alex said smoothly, Eleanor's will was notarized twice. Once in 22. Clear as day. Dementia claims won't hold without medical proof. And from what I recall, her records are spotless. Lila's eyes flashed. You recall? What's that supposed to mean? Means I've got friends in low places. Alex winked, but his tone was steel. Probate research. Fun hobby. The standoff stretched, broken only by the distant cry of gulls. As the sisters excused themselves for a private call, Rowan turned to Alex, gratitude swelling. How'd you know? Guessed. And prepped. Alex pulled out his phone, revealing a folder of emails, Eleanor's correspondence, archived digitally by a cousin. She wrote about you constantly. My Rowan, the artist with a heart like the sea. No mentions of girls only. Tears pricked Rowan's eyes. They forged it. Or twisted it. Probably. Alex cupped his face, thumb brushing a stray tear. We'll prove it. But tonight, let's reclaim this place. Bonfire on the beach. Your rules. As dusk painted the sky in bruised purples, they built the fire, driftwood crackling, stars emerging like hesitant confessions. Wine flowed from Eleanor's dusty cellar, and for a moment, Rowan forgot the siege. Alex's head on his shoulder. Stories of their first date at that dive bar in Hillcrest, where pride flags fluttered and judgment stayed outside. You wore that ridiculous Hawaiian shirt, Alex teased. Thought you were the sun incarnate. And you spilled your IPA on my lap? Then offered to buy me dry ones for a year. Rowan chuckled, the sound foreign after days of tension. Their hands intertwined. Fingers tracing the scars of old battles, Rowan's from a homophobic brawl in college, Alex's from a kitchen mishap symbolizing his chaotic charm. But peace was fleeting. Headlights pierced the fog around 10 p.m. Two sleek SUVs pulling up like predators. Lila emerged first, arm-linked with a silver-haired man in a bespoke suit, Harlan. Her divorce attorney ex. Now weaponized. Tessa trailed with a videographer, phone aloft, capturing the drama for her followers. Smile. Oh. Content gold. Rowan's stomach dropped. What the hell is this? Eviction notice, Harlan drawled. Southern drawl clashing with the Yankee coast. Temporary restraining order. Courtesy of Orange County Superior Court. Your sisters filed this morning. Undue influence on the deceased. Gran was vulnerable, you preyed on it. The papers fluttered in the wind. Official seals gleaming mockingly. Alex snatched one. Scanning furiously. This is bullshit. Filed on what evidence? Those letters, Lila said triumphantly. And affidavits from Mom's old friends. They saw the signs, confusion, favoritism. Rowan felt the world tilt. The fire popped. Embers scattering like his dreams. You did this overnight? With Harlan? Betrayal burned hotter than the flames. Harlan, who'd once toasted at family Thanksgiving. Now the Judas with a briefcase. Tessa live-streamed it all. Her voice a performative whine. Family fighting over Gran's legacy, should we let him keep it? Poll time. Turn that off, Alex growled, stepping forward. But Rowan placed a hand on his chest. Eyes locked on Lila. But we've got money. Careers. What does this cabin mean to you besides a flip for profit? Lila's mask cracked? Just for a second, vulnerability flickering before greed snuffed it. It means security. After Dad left us broke, scraping by while you flitted off to art school. Mom deserved better. The words hung, a half-truth laced with poison. Rowan's voice broke. We all deserved better. But this is stealing her last gift to me. Harlan cleared his throat. You have 48 hours to vacate. Or we escalate. As they drove off, taillights fading into the mist, Rowan sank to the sand, the fire's warmth mocking his chill. Alex wrapped around him, murmuring promises of counterattacks, but doubt crept in like the tide. Was this worth losing his sisters forever? Or had he already? The next day blurred into a frenzy of calls, lawyers, cousins. Even a PI Alex knew from brewery circles. Rowan paced the cabin's living room. Sunlight slanting through salt-streaked windows, illuminating dust motes like floating accusations. The space felt smaller now. Besieged. He'd grown up here, sketching seabirds while Eleanor baked scones. Her stories of queer icons, Harvey Milk, Walt Whitman, planting seeds of courage. The world will try to box you, Rowan. But the ocean doesn't bow to boxes. By noon, reinforcements arrived. Jamie, Rowan's best friend from design school, a non-binary firebrand with a laptop full of hacks and a heart full of fury. Sisters from hell? Classic trope. But we're rewriting the ending. They huddled around the kitchen island. Mapping strategies, digital forensics on the letters, social media takedowns for Tessa's drama tour. and a Hail Mary, Eleanor's hidden safe, rumored to hold originals. Alex scoured the attic while Rowan and Jamie combed the study. Amid yellowed photo albums, they found it, a lockbox under floorboards. Combination Eleanor's birthday. Inside, not cash, but letters, thousands. Addressed to Rowan. My dearest boy, this cabin is yours because you see its soul. The waves don't judge, neither do I. Grant. Tears blurred the ink as Rowan read aloud, voice raw. She knew. About me. About everything. Alex emerged, covered in dust, holding a USB drive. Jackpot. Backups of her emails. Timestamps prove the will was her idea. Post-diagnosis clarity. Elation surged, but it was short-lived. A knock echoed, sheriff's deputy. Badge glinting. Mr. Harper? Serving notice. Vacate by dawn. The clock ticked mercilessly. That night, under a canopy of stars, Rowan and Alex made love on the porch chaise, bodies urgent against the encroaching dark. Skin on skin, breaths mingling with sea air. It was defiance incarnate. I won't let them take this, Rowan gasped, fingers digging into Alex's back. Or us. Never, Alex vowed. Their release a shared roar swallowed by the waves. As dawn broke, suitcases packed but hearts unyielding, Rowan stood on the bluff, the cabin at his back. The sisters' cars idled below, Harlan smirking from the lead vehicle. Time for revenge, not destruction, but revelation. Rowan hit send on the email blast, to family, friends, Lila and Tessa's networks. Right, the letters, timestamps, affidavits from Eleanor's doctor confirming lucidity. Subject, truth over greed, Eleanor's real legacy. Lila's phone buzzed first. She scanned, face paling. What have you done? Given them the truth, Rowan said, voice steady. You wanted the cabin? Earn it. But not like this. Tessa's stream exploded, comments flooding. Fake drama? Boycott Tessa Oils. Harlan sputtered, order dissolving like fog. The sisters stood speechless, the weight of exposure crashing harder than any wave. In that silence, Rowan saw cracks, regret in Lila's eyes, shame in Tessa's. Not victory, but a bridge, fragile and fog-shrouded. The drive back to San Diego was a haze of adrenaline and ache, the coastal highway blurring into streaks of blue and green. Rowan gripped the wheel, Alex's hand a constant on his thigh, a tether against the vertigo of was. The email had gone viral faster than Tessa's worst meltdown, cousins forwarding to aunts. Aunts to old family friends. Ripples turning to tsunamis across group chats and Facebook walls. By the time they hit Carmel, notifications pinged like gunfire. Holy shit. Rowan. Spill the tea. Your sisters are cancelled. Stand your ground. Even Harlan had slunk away, muttering about reconsiderations. But triumph tasted bittersweet, laced with the metallic tang of loss. I didn't want to humiliate them, Rowan confessed, pulling into a roadside diner for coffee that burned going down. The place was pure Americana, checkered floors, jukebox crooning Springsteen, truckers nursing hangovers at the counter. Justice. Alex squeezed his hand across the Formica table. You gave them a mirror. That's more mercy than they offered. Warm hazel flecked with gold. Held Rowan's like they could rewrite the stars. They'd met 3 years ago at a queer art crawl in Balboa Park. Rowan sketching passers-by. Alex critiquing with a beer's honesty. That guy's aura is screaming midlife crisis. Love the red convertible. Though. Instant spark. The kind that felt like fate's cheeky wink. As rain pattered the diner's tin roof, Alex leaned in. What's next? We fight the TRO in court. Rowan nodded, stirring sugar he didn't need. Lawyer says we can quash it Monday. But the damage. Good. Alex? What if they never speak to me again? Then we build our own family. Alex's voice was soft thunder. Timmy. That feral cat you feed on the fire escape. The cabin's just bricks without heart. The word lodged in Rowan's throat. Back home, their apartment was a mosaic of that, Alex's homebrew kits crowding the counter. Rowan's canvases leaning against walls. Half-finished portraits of lovers lost in waves. They'd talked marriage once. Over tacos at a Hillcrest Street fair. Rainbow flags snapping in the breeze. Vegas? Or something beachy? Like your grand's place? Alex had joked. But the cabin loomed larger. A symbol not just of betrayal, but of the life Rowan craved, roots that didn't choke. The fallout hit like a squall that evening. Lila called first. Voice stripped of its armor, cracking over the speakerphone as Rowan unpacked in the living room. Duh. We need to talk. He hesitated. Alex nodding encouragement from the kitchen, slicing limes for margaritas. Talk. The pause. Heavy as ocean fog. The letters. They're real. Harlan confirmed. We overreached. Another beat. Mom's friends recanted. Said we pressured them. Rowan's pulse thrummed. And Tessa's little show? She's mortified. Lost half her followers overnight. Blaming me. Of course. Lila's laugh was hollow. I thought it was business. Flip the cabin. Split the cash, security for once. After Dad drained the accounts. Dad's ghost isn't an excuse to rob me blind. Rowan's words sharpened, but empathy tugged. Lila had raised them after Mom's breakdown, shuttling to soccer practices while nursing hangovers. You could have asked. Shared weekends? Holidays? Not this. Silence stretched, broken by a sniffle. I know. Can we? Neutral ground. Tomorrow? Alex mouthed trap, but Rowan waved it off. Big sir. The cabin. Don't. Bring coffee and honesty. Hanging up. He collapsed onto the couch, head in hands. What am I doing? Forgiving, Alex said, settling beside him, pulling Rowan into his lap. Their kiss started tentative, exploratory, then deepened, tongues tasting of salt and second chances, hands roaming with the familiarity of home. Alex's fingers threaded through Rowan's hair, tugging just enough to elicit a gasp. Or at least, hearing them out. You're braver than you know. Sleep came fitful. Dreams weaving Eleanor's face with his sister's. Waves eroding cliffs until nothing remained. Dawn found them on the road again. The jeep loaded with hope and hurt. The cabin greeted them like an old friend. Porch swing creaking in the breeze. Wild roses reclaiming the path. Lila and Tessa arrived at 6:15. No Harlan. No cameras, just two women in yoga pants and regret, bearing a thermos of peats and sheepish expressions. Tessa hugged first, fierce and fumbling. I'm sorry. The videos. I was desperate for views. Cabin drama sells. But not like this. Her eyes, red-rimmed, searched his. I envied you. You know, Gran's favorite. The one who got out. Lila hung back, then stepped forward. Thermos extended like an olive branch. We forged nothing. The letters were real, but out of context. Gran wrote them during a low spell, before the will. Amplified. Rowan accepted the coffee, the steam curling between them. Amplified into lies. The gay brother. The different, one, easier target. Lila winced. Not easier. Jealous. You live free. Unapologetic. Dad's shame never touched you the way it did us. Girls expected to marry up. Secure the bag. I built my agency on grit. But inside, terrified of ending up like Mom. The admission cracked something in Rowan. A dam of resentment giving way. They sat on the porch steps, the ocean's rhythm underscoring confessions. Tessa admitted doctoring affidavits for authenticity, Lila owning the call to Harlan as one last power play. Alex listened quietly, his presence a shield, occasionally interjecting with questions that peeled back layers. What did Gran mean to you? Really? Security or love? By noon, tears had dried, replaced by tentative plans. Drop the tiara. Joint ownership? No, Rowan held firm. It's mine. But you visit. Holidays. No strings. Tessa nodded eagerly. Deal. And I'll delete the posts. Apology real. Lila's gaze lingered on Alex, softening. You're good for him. We should have seen that sooner. As they drove off, waves of reconciliation lapping at old wounds, Rowan turned to Alex. Think it'll stick? Stranger things. Alex grinned, pulling him close for a salt-kissed kiss. Now, about that bonfire redo. But Harmony was a house of cards. 2 days later, back in the city, Rowan's phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Check your email. Proof your reconciliation is a sham. Attached, screenshots, Lila's text to Harlan. Plotting a backdoor appeal. Play nice. Get him complacent. Then countersue on emotional distress. Tessa's Venmo to a consultant, $5,000 for PR spin. Betrayal's knife twisted anew. Sharper for the false thaw. Rowan's hands shook as he showed Alex. They played me. Again. Alex's jaw clenched, but his voice stayed even. Not this time. We go nuclear, legally. The lawyer's office in downtown San Diego was a glass fortress. All sharp angles and no-nonsense paralegals. Vargas, a Latina powerhouse with a bow-tie collection, reviewed the evidence over Cortados. Solid case for fraud. We countersue for defamation, seek injunction on their assets. But Rowan, emotional toll? Therapy records could help. Rowan shifted. The idea of airing his scars public chafing. Like what? Coming out at 16. Dad's disappointment? The beatings from his buddies. Vargas nodded sympathetically. If you're comfortable. Humanizes you. Vilifies them. Alex advocated quietly later. over foe in Convoy District. Your story's power. Not weapon, just truth. Nights blurred into strategy sessions. Jamie hacking socials to trace the consultant, a shady fixer with ties to Lila's firm. Romance simmered beneath, stolen moments in the shower. Alex's mouth tracing Rowan's collarbone. Whispering you're unbreakable as water cascaded. But tension coiled. Rowan's sketches turning dark, sisters as sirens luring ships to rocks. The hearing loomed a week out. Big Sir's cliffs echoing in Rowan's dreams. Then, a curveball, a letter from Lila. Handwritten. Delivered by courier. Oh. I panicked. The texts, old fears talking. Meet me alone? One last chance. Attached, a key. To what? Against Alex's protests. Too risky, Rowan drove north solo. Heart a war drum. The address led to a rundown motel off Highway 1. Neon sign flickering vacancy like a bad omen. Lila waited in room 7. No makeup. Hair limp. A bottle of bourbon half empty on the nightstand. You came, she breathed. Door clicking shut. I can't lose you. Not like this. Rowan stayed by the door. Arms crossed. Then why the double cross? She poured a shot. Hands trembling. That Harlan's not X, he's leverage. Lone shark vibes. The cabin flip was his idea. To settle. The confession spilled, Lila's empire crumbling. Bad investments post-divorce. Harlan's help, a noose. Tessa complicit? Chasing clout to fund her own debts. We targeted you because you're strong. Always were. Pity warred with fury. Strong enough to walk away. But he didn't. Hours passed in that dim room. Bourbon loosening tongues, childhood hurts, unspoken griefs. Lila's first love. A girl crushed by dad's bigotry, Rowan's hidden diaries. Burned in shame. Dawn crept in as Rowan pocketed the key, a safe deposit box with Harlan's dirt. Fix it. Or I will. Back home. Alex waited. Worry etched. Well. Complicated. Rowan collapsed into his arms. The key cold against his chest. Their lovemaking that night was slow. Reverent, bodies mapping forgiveness. Alex's whispers a bomb. Whatever comes. With the tide. Court day arrived under relentless sun. The Orange County Courthouse a colossus of marble and might. Rowan testified first. Voice steady as he recounted Eleanor's lucidity. The letter's warmth. His sister's siege. They didn't just want the cabin, they wanted to erase me from it. Alex sat front row. Eyes locked. A lifeline. Lila's turn shattered expectations. No Harlan, she took the stand alone. Voice quavering. I lied. All of it. The cabin's Rowan's, Gran knew it. Said it. I was scared. Drowning in debt. But that's no excuse. Tears streamed. Forgive me? Or don't? But let him keep what's his. Tessa echoed. Haltingly, I amplified the hate for likes. Stupid. Sorry doesn't cut it. But it's start. The judge. A grizzled vet with kind eyes. Ruled swift. Tarot dissolved. Countersuit for costs. Mandatory mediation. Families messy. Son. But blood's thicker than ink, use it wisely. Under jacaranda blooms shedding purple rain. The siblings converged. Hugs awkward. Words halting. Therapy? Rowan suggested. All of us. Lila nodded. Yeah. And weekends at the cabin. No agendas. As they parted, Alex pulled Rowan aside. Against the courthouse wall. Kiss fierce and claiming. Proud of you. But revenge's shadow lingered. That night, en route to celebrate at their favorite queer bar in Hillcrest, neon the rail glowing like absolution, Rowan's phone buzzed. Harlan, this isn't over. You think a key scares me? The brilliant play crystallized then. Over whiskey sours and drag queens lip-syncing gaga. With Jamie's tech wizardry and Lila's insider docs, they compiled the dossier, Harlan's embezzlement trail. Fake LLCs siphoning clients. Anonymous tip to the DA. Timed for maximum fallout. Weeks later, headlines screamed, real estate mogul's ex faces fraud charges. Harlan arrested at dawn. Empire crumbling. Lila's firm? With her testimony sealing his fate. The sisters arrived at the cabin unannounced one crisp fall weekend. Arms laden with groceries. Faces tentative. Peace offering? Tessa ventured, holding up heirloom tomatoes from a farmer's market. Rowan, grilling salmon with Alex. Waved them in. Only if you chop. Laughed echoed. Fragile but real, the first in years. As stars wheeled overhead, bonfire crackling, stories flowed, Lila's new therapy breakthroughs, Tessa's pivot to authentic vlogs on mental health, Rowan's sketches of the group, capturing vulnerability's beauty. In the quiet hours, Alex and Rowan slipped away to the master suite, door ajar to sea songs. Revenge done right, Alex murmured. Hands exploring. Leaves him speechless and better. Rowan arched into him. Heartful. And us? Whole. Winter wrapped Big Sir in a rare shawl of mist and pine-scented chill. The cabin hunkering like a wise elder against the gales. Rowan had always loved the season here. Fewer tourists. The world pared to essentials, roaring fires, wool blankets, and the unfiltered pulse of the Pacific. But with mediation sessions bridging the chasms his sisters had carved, the space felt reborn. Not perfect, awkward pauses still peppered dinners, Tessa's overshares clashing with Lila's guarded quips, but healing, like scar tissue toughening over wounds. Alex thrived in it, his brews aging in the cellar, experiments yielding a hazy IPA dubbed Cliffhanger Citrus. Tastes like redemption, he'd say, clinking bottles with whoever was nearest. His presence grounded Rowan, a counterpoint to the emotional minefield of family. They'd deepened since the trial, talks of rings, of adopting that fire escape cat, now dubbed Orion, after the constellation tattooed on Alex's forearm. Imagine holidays here, Alex mused one evening. Snow flurries dusting the deck. Turkey. Tide pools. Tiny paws in the sand. Rowan smiled, but a shadow lingered. Harlan's trial loomed in spring. His threats echoing in voicemails deleted but not forgotten. You'll regret crossing me. Pretty boy. The DA had looped Rowan in as a witness, minor role, but enough to stir nightmares of courtroom stares, judgments unspoken. The call came mid-January, shattering a lazy Sunday. Lila's voice, edged with panic, Ro, this bad. Harlan jumped bail. 'Tis unhinged. Blaming you. Watch your back. Rowan's blood iced. What does that mean? Means he's got nothing left. Firm seized. Alimony frozen. Last I heard, he's holed up in some flea bag in Fresno. Ranting online. Alex, overhearing from the kitchen, set down his knife mid-chop. We beef up security. Cameras. Alerts. And you stay here, no city runs alone. The cabin became fortress and haven. Jamie installed smart locks. Motion lights that bathed the cliffs in halogen glow. Rowan and Alex patrolled the perimeter. Flashlights cutting fog. Hands brushing in silent solidarity. Romance adapted. Picnics in the library nook. Reading Whitman aloud. Alex's voice gravelly on leaves of grass. I sing the body electric. Their touches lingered. Charged with urgency. Bodies affirming life against lurking shadows. Tessa arrived unbidden a week later. U-Haul trailing like a guilty conscience. I quit influencing, she announced. Unloading boxes of essential oils and half-read self-help books. Too toxic. Starting over, maybe yoga instruct? Coastal retreats. Here, Rowan blinked, exchanging glances with Alex. Couch is yours. But pull your weight. She did, mornings yoga on the beach. Leading sunrise flows that coaxed Lila north more often. The sisters' dynamic shifted, less rivals, more reluctant allies. One evening, over clam chowder simmering on the wood stove, Tessa cracked open, I was the golden child. Right? But inside, terrified you'd eclipse me. Grand's pride in your art. To her, like I was invisible. Lila nodded. Stirring. Same. Built walls high, agency. Harlan, to feel seen. But you bared it all. Painting your truth. We envied that fire. Rowan set down his spoon. Throw tight. Fire from ashes. Dad's rejection fueled it. But Gran? She banked the embers. He glanced at Alex, whose foot nudged his under the table, a Morse code of you're enough. Harlan's ghost hovered. A package arrived days later. No sender. Just a manila envelope stuffed through the mail slot. Inside, photos. Candid shots, Rowan and Alex kissing on the porch. Time-stamped pretrial. A note. Scrawled, exposing your perversion. World sees the Harpers for what they are. Rage boiled, but fear tempered it. He's escalating, Rowan said, showing Alex. They called the sheriff, Coastal PD. Sympathetic but stretched. File a report. We'll patrol more. That night, sleep evaded. Rowan tossed Alex's arm heavy across his waist, until a crash shattered the quiet, glass breaking downstairs. They bolted upright, hearts hammering. Alex grabbed the baseball bat from the closet. Stay here, but Rowan followed. Phone dialing 911. The kitchen window gaped, shards glittering like malice. A brick lay amid the debris, wrapped in twine. Another note, burn it down. Like your family should burn your sins. Sirens wailed distant, but the damage etched deep. As deputies dusted for prints, none viable. Lila arrived at dawn, face ashen. This is my fault. Harlan's unhinged because I flipped. No, Rowan said. Sweeping glass. His. But we end it. The plan coalesced over coffee. Steam rising like resolve. Lila had contacts, ex-colleagues turned PIs. Tessa scoured dark web forums. Her old influencer net yielding tips. Harlan spotted in Monterey dives. Muttering vendettas. Alex and Jamie rigged trail cams along access roads. Feeding live to a laptop fortress. Rowan, the artist, saw patterns. Harlan's rage a canvas of projection, his own closet. Whispers of affairs with male clients. Buried under bluster. We don't fight fire, Rowan said. We expose the smoke. The sting op launched a fortnight later. Under a moonless sky. Lila baited via burner phone. Meet at the Overlook. I have cash. You cut. Alex and deputies hid in the pines. Vests bulky. Breaths fogging air. Rowan waited in the cabin. Window vigil. Pulse syncing with waves. Headlights pierced at 2 a.m. Harlan's rust bucket sedan. Coughing to a halt. Emerged. Hulking in shadow. Pistol glinting. Lila? Where's the dough? She stepped from the trees. Recorder pinned. Right here. But first, truth time. His laugh barked. Truth? Your brother's a freak. Deserves the rags I sent. Deputies swarmed then. Tasers humming. Harlan thrashed, faggot enablers. But cuffs clicked. Miranda writes a dirge. Back inside. As adrenaline ebbed. The family collapsed around the hearth. Tessa lit sage. A cleansing ritual gone ironic. Lila wept. Unburdened. Thank you. For not letting hate win. Rowan pulled her close. Alex's hand on his shoulder. Hate's loud. Love's the quiet win. Spring unfurled gentle. Cherry blossoms dusting the coast like confetti. Harlan's plea deal, aggravated harassment. Restitution, closed the chapter. His empire ash. The cabin bloomed anew, group therapy weekends. Where tears watered growth. Lila mentored Tessa in ethical realty. Small firm with a conscience. Rowan exhibited locally, tides of betrayal. Portraits of fractured kin mending. Romance crested too. Memorial Day. Alex proposed on the bluff. Ring a hammered silver band etched with waves. Marry me here? Where it all broke and healed. Rowan yesed through tears. Their kiss sealed by salt spray. The wedding was intimate, beachside. Jamie officiating in a fabulous caftan. Sisters walking him down the aisle of driftwood. Vows echoed Eleanor's spirit. In storms and calms. I choose you. But humanism's arc bent toward complexity. Summer brought Lila's cancer diagnosis, stage 2. Treatable but terrifying. The cabin became hospice and hope. Chemo days blending with crab boils. Tessa shaved Lila's head in solidarity. Laughter amid nausea. Rowan sketched her portraits, fierce. Fading. Fierce again, reminders of impermanence. As Lila weakened on the porch swing, she gripped Rowan's hand. The cabin. Keep it for all of us. Legacy. Not loot. Always, he promised. Alex hovering. Their triad unbreakable. Remission came autumnal. Leaves turning gold like second chances. Holidays swelled the house. Cousins? Friends? Orion batting at wrapping paper. Toast rang. To Eleanor. To survival. Yeah. In quiet moments, Rowan pondered revenge's cost. Not brilliant, but burdensome. It had silenced the sisters' greed, but amplified their guilts, forging bonds tempered in fire. Human. Enduring. As winter circled again, snow rare but welcome, Rowan and Alex renewed vows privately, naked under quilts, bodies vows incarnate. To us, Alex breathed, tracing Rowan's heart. The real home. The years folded like origami, each crease a lesson etched deeper into the Harper Rivera tapestry. By 35, Rowan had traded freelance gigs for a steady role at a San Diego gallery, curating queer coastal artists, exhibits that drew crowds from LA to the border. Whispers of next big thing. Alex's brewery micro-empire. Tide and Timber, bottled Big Sur essences, hazy IPAs with kelp hints, stouts aged in reclaimed oak from the cabin's rafters. Success tasted shared. Their North Park home an extension of the coast, seashell wind chimes. Walls alive with Rowan's evolving canvases, abstracts of mended fractures. Lovers entwined against tempests. The sisters woven seamlessly now. Threads once knotted now supple. Violet. Post-remission. Pivoted her firm to eco-developments, cabins like theirs. Preserved not paved. Redemption Realty, she'd quip. Toasting at family barbecues. Tessa's yoga retreats filled the bluff. Weekends of breathwork and bonfires. Participants leaving lighter. Testimonials gushing healing haven. No more oils or optics, authenticity her brand. Vulnerability her strength. But family, American as apple pie and dysfunction, simmered with undercurrents. Anniversaries stirred ghosts, the trial's fifth, marked by a clifftop dinner, Lila raising a glass. To speechless starts, laughter followed, but Rowan's eyes caught hers lingering on old photos, Eleanor beaming, unaware of the wars her will would wage. Harlan faded to footnote, his sentence a quiet 6 in county, paroled early for good behavior. A single postcard arrived once, rot in your rainbow hell, tossed unopened into the fire. Bigger threats loomed, climate's creep, waves nibbling the foundation, forcing reinforcements. Like us, Alex joked during engineer consults. Eroding, rebuilding, Rowan's queerness, once weaponized, now anchored his humanism. He mentored at local youth centers. Sharing Eleanor's tales over sketchpads, art doesn't fix breaks, it frames them beautiful. Pride parades became annual pilgrimages. Alex in a kilt strumming ukulele covers of Born This Way. Rowan marching with signs reading love's the only inheritance. The cabin hosted firsts, a trans teens coming out sleepover. Awkward hugs yielding to acceptance. Climax crested unexpectedly. A decade post-betrayal. In a storm that howled like judgment. Lila's call pierced a gallery opening, champagne flutes clinking. Admirers cooing over sister's surge. Duh. Tessa's missing. Storm washed out the retreat road, she was leading a group. Heart seizing. Rowan bolted. Alex keys in hand. Highway 1. Treacherous in rage. Bucked with wind-whipped rain. News helicopters thrummed overhead. Mudslide. 3 unaccounted. At the site, chaos reigned, flares guttering. Rescuers in neon vests shouting into voids. Lila waited at the blockade. Drenched. Face a mask of terror. She texted, "Group safe?" But her Jeep flipped. Can't reach her. Hours stretched eternal. Flashlights probing debris like futile prayers. Dawn grayed the sky when the shout came, "Found her." Tessa, battered but breathing. Leg fractured. Jeep a mangled husk. Slipped on the curve, she gasped in the ambulance, gripping Rowan's hand. thought a grand, hold on. Like the cabin. Hospital vigils bound them tighter, Lila pacing corridors, Alex fetching coffees laced with hope. Tessa's recovery, pins, physio, phantom pains, mirrored their collective mending. I was running, she confessed one rehab afternoon. Crutches propped. From debt ghosts? From failing you both. Retreated here to hide. Rowan squeezed her fingers. No hiding. With a storm now, together. Discharge brought her to the cabin. Room refitted with ramps. Views her therapy. Lila sold her Newport condo. Relocating north, closer to kin. The trio, once fractured, formed a pod. Mornings of adapted yoga. Tessa leading seated flows, evenings of board games. Laughter eclipsing old barbs. Romance for Rowan and Alex deepened in these crucibles. With Tessa's leg healing, they stole a weekend in Mendocino, wine country escape. Volksrode trails. A B&B with clawfoot tubs. Under redwoods ancient as grudges, Alex renewed his proposal spirit, not just marry, build. Fitz? Foster? Whatever tide brings. Rowan, tracing Alex's jaw, whispered, Yes. All of it. Their nights blurred passion and plans, bodies slick, futures mapped in moans. Back home, they dove in, fostering certifications, home studies painting walls in welcoming blues. The first placement arrived spring. Twins, 8-year-old boys, brown-skinned and wary, yanked from a neglectful orbit. Matteo and Luca, with eyes like storm clouds, circled the cabin tentatively. This place smells like sea monsters, Matteo declared, peeking from behind Alex. Rowan knelt. Nah. Just adventures. Want to hunt for Tiddepool critters? Trust built slow, bedtime stories of Eleanor's escapades? Alex's goofy puppet shows with Orion as sidekick. The boys' first pride flag craft, glitter-glued rainbows, hung porchside. A beacon. Tessa taught them downward dog, Lila, chess on rainy days. Aunties, the twins dubbed them, the word melting ice. But conflict's ember glowed, Luca's night terrors? Screams echoing don't leave us. Yanking Rowan's scars. One midnight, holding the boy as sobs racked them both, Rowan broke. I know leaving hurts, he murmured. My family tried once. But we choose stay. Alex found them thus. Joining the huddle, his embrace encompassing. Later, Tierschwet Bilausch. Scared, Alex asked. Terrified. Of failing them. Like my sisters almost did me. Won't. We're proof, love redeems. Adoption hearings crowned summer. Courthouse redux but radiant. Same grizzled face. Harper's and Rivera's, family redefined. Post-ceremony picnic on the beach, twins splashing. Sisters toasting with tide and timber. Lila pulled Rowan aside. Wind tousling her now gray streaks. You saved us. You know. That revenge? Not the cabin. You. He hugged her fierce. We saved each other. Tragedy threaded in. Humanistic and unsparing, Lila's recurrence. Aggressive this round. Chemo cocktails. Experimental trials. Cabin a revolving sanctuary. Tessa stepped up. Retreats on hold. Nursing with gruff tenderness. The twins baked lopsided cookies. Luca piping get well. Aniel. Final days. Hospice bed on the porch. Ocean her symphony. Violet, frail but fierce, gathered them. No regrets. The cabin. Leave it to the boys. And row, live loud. For the loves you claimed. She slipped at equinox. Sunset painting her peaceful. Funeral was bluffside, ashes to waves. Eulogies raw. Tessa's, she was storm and shore. Rowan's, entitled? But grace made her grand. Grief's tide pulled. But humanism buoyed, a foundation in Lila's name. Eco-cabins for LGBTQ plus youth. Retreats blending therapy and tide. Tessa helmed it. Legacy living. Years spun, twins to teens. Mateo out as bi. Luca sketching like Rowan. Alex's silver temples. Rowan's laugh lines, love's patina. Anniversaries at the cabin. Now with grandkids' echoes in mind. One golden dusk. Rowan and Alex on the swing. Orion long gone but spirit purring. Speechless yet. Alex teased. Hand in hand. Rowan leaned in. Quiche eternal. Only by you. Always. The ocean rolled on. Indifferent witness to human arcs, betrayals burned to bridges. Greed to grace. In America's vast heart, where waves whisper endure, the Harpers found their shore, not stolen. Butchered. A vacation home for souls adrift.